I think it's the best interest for me to make this move. Actually, right after the election, I know that I will just go back to my own private life because I am not retired, but I am leaning towards tired.
How did you feel about being one of the most memed election candidates in GE 2025?
People say that is a Singapore version of William Hung, that kind of stuff.
Who said this? Y'all You wait until he bang y'all. Can you sing it one last time for the Rishi Report audience?
Sorry, no. No.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks a lot for joining us on a bonus episode of the Rishi Report SG60 podcast series from season 1. I told you we were done with the season, but I'm very happy to have another special guest with us. This is a show where we normally have broken news served up by a broke comedian. This time, I have someone who was one of the election candidates. He won't be joining you in Parliament, no, and he didn't get that many votes, but what he did get was one of the most number of views in GE 2025. Formerly from the PPP, I have with me Samuel Lee. What's going on, man, Samuel?
Hi, thank you, Rishi. Thanks for allowing me to join this show.
Samuel, how are you feeling, man? 1 month after your first ever general elections campaign. What's going through your mind right now?
Actually, right after the election, I know that I will just go back to my own private life. Now, I still have to sustain my family and then work my way out. Now, see what needs to be done, be done.
When you say sustain your family, you mean like continue working in Singapore?
Yes, because I am not retired, but I am leaning towards tired.
You are leaning towards tired. Are you making a reference to the independent candidate Jeremy Tan?
Yes, of course. Actually, he did raise quite several important points. A lot of those opposition candidates actually raised things like, the job insecurity among the young, the cost of living very high. Now, these are the common thing.
And Jeremy mentioned his campaign was be retired, not tired. He sat in that very same chair when he announced his campaign to me the first time in one of our episodes earlier. So it's ironic that you are here, bro, telling us that.
Correct.
Your first ever GE, your first ever elections as a candidate. How old are you, Samuel? Don't mind me asking.
I'm now approaching 34. So a few months later, my birthday not yet.
Not yet, When's your birthday? Come, everybody want to wish you happy birthday. Tell everybody.
27 September.
27 September. Okay, if you want to get my friend Samuel a gift on 27 September, Samuel, are you single, attached?
Single.
Okay. So if anybody is interested in getting to know a former election candidate, Samuel, open to birthday gifts.
Birthday gift.
Birthday gifts. You know what to do. Okay. Tell us why you decided to take this step to be an elections candidate.
Okay. This is really... I went through a series of stages before I actually decided to step up as a candidate. Okay. So... you must going back through what happened. Now, how I enter politics, why I joined the party. So, at first, I met Mr. Goh Ming Seng at the Bendemeer Hawker Centre. That was right after the presidential election 2023. Goh Ming Seng all the while is the Secretary General for PPP.
And then you met him, and what happened after that?
So, of course, there's some conversation, understand why he joined politics and roughly ask, how come the opposition so fragmented, that kind of thing. Because that is a common pain point. So, back then, they actually they tried to form an alliance, the People's Alliance for Reform, PAR. That is the eventual name. But regardless, things happen. Like what in the official notice, the statement, the press statement that both parties have give out. So it's like, the other side, the PR side, do not agree with us contesting in Tampines. But for some reason, I also wonder how do they actually know that the Workers' Party is coming to Tampines. I don't think anybody actually expect or knows it. All they have is probably just a hearsay. It's nothing is confirmed.
Okay. So this was your first interaction with Mr. Goh at the
in
time?
2023.
Okay, and then what happened after that?
So, of course, initially it's not talking about all those where I want to contest. No, actually it's more to understand his party, what he really stands for. So that's how I understand things like the Land Acquisition Act. That's how the HDB can be, the government acquire the land for very cheap price back then, and they keep it for decades, and then they develop the land. So actually, that's the talking point why several opposition parties, they mention about, we can waive away the land cost, the deferred land cost plan. Because there are ways, the problem is that to the government, the cost is very low. Those are being taken in the 1960s. But now they are using those reserve lands and sell it to our current and future generation at a much expensive rate because of this land price. From a parliamentary record, we always know that, around 60% of the HDB price is the land cost. And how we sell the BTO is always like back to the resale prices. So really is the land cost, who actually set the land cost? Who set the market?
I understand. Okay, and this was one of the issues that drove you to want to contest?
No, that is not exactly the reason why I want to contest.
Okay.
It's just, that is one of the first few things I learned in the party. So what makes this party stand out? People may remember it as a single issue party. Because
what is the single issue?
It's the vaccine safety issue.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Okay. Actually, what happened is that vaccine safety is also a real problem. Like when we walk about, when we hear people, we will see that there are some people who say that, after they took the vax, someone would have some kind of weird condition. Even when that time when I still have my own vocational license to drive Grab car, I also remember I met someone who actually bought the car just to go to a clinic to take the jab. But saying that they have to change to the Novavax because the earlier one, the Pfizer, got some kind of allergic reactions. So actually, these are the things, but there are also people who are really more concerned about the long-term safety data, which wasn't available back then. So the issue of this VDS is a problem.
And
so,
were you like handpicked? Were you poached by Mr. Goh and said, hey you, Samuel, I believe in you. Come and join, help us out. Or was it more like, actually, Mr. Goh, I am someone who want to volunteer. I believe in your cause and I want to be a part of this. Which was it? Or combination?
I think it's a combination. It's a combination because it's a mutual talk. So, of course, this kind of thing, I have to consider what are my issues, all these things.
Okay.
What can I do or cannot do?
Okay. And what did you find? So, how do you feel like like you say, what are things you can do and can't do? What were some things that you felt like, yes, I can do for Singapore? Because I know that you're someone who's passionate about advocacy, you're passionate about change, you've spoken about that publicly. So what was your hope when you were running in these elections? Did you eventually see yourself in parliament this year?
Okay, good question. Okay, most people wouldn't think that they so lucky or in a way like the first time candidate will get elected. Actually, even the major parties also don't have, this is not a guaranteed thing.
Sure.
But people may wanted to ask the real question. They say that, Samuel is someone who is not public speak trained. What is his credentials? It's not a so-called what do you call that? A senior management in IT. So why he wants to run? So I think I wanted to bring out the message is that there are concerns among the I would say that those heavens. There's those who have and those who haven't.
Okay.
So those who haven't reached that kind of status, the above top 30%. So I should be like represent those kind of voices. Because those who are really in the top, the senior management, all those kind of things, those are the life that I do not experience right now. So whatever I say, people also won't take it seriously.
Okay, so you felt like your voice would represent the have-nots in society.
Correct.
And you could advocate for them, for a better life for those Singaporeans?
I will be I'll be part of the platform that advocate this. Now, I don't think one person can do it alone.
Correct. Do you feel like in this campaign, you were successful in your goals that you set out to achieve?
Okay, what are the goals that clearly didn't set out? Okay, is that now we to keep the deposit. Now, or we don't say winning prime minister, ex-prime minister Lee Hsien Loong.
Yeah, because for some context, for those of you who were not aware, Samuel, your party and your you were fielded in Ang Mo Kio GRC.
Yes.
And you were up against former Prime Minister
Lee Hsien Loong. Correct.
How did you react when you found out this is happening?
Okay, I'm not the election committee.
Sure.
Okay, so there is a difference. The CC committee is just a group of core trusted person, but the election committee is just the people who decide who to fill and where to fill all those things.
Okay.
So the thing is, if the party thinks that I'm best suited for a particular constituency, then I just go. Because I'm not an independent. So if I'm an independent, I can just either by myself or maybe four other people to walk the ground for the previous 5 years, that kind of thing. Those are things that I do not have. So now wherever party asks me to go, then I'll just go.
Okay. So how do you feel like when they told you, hey, Samuel, we know it's your first election, and in your first election, you're going to Ang Mo Kio. You need to go and walk about, and basically you need to challenge assembly. What was going through your mind? Were you like, okay, no problem? Or were you like, must go and fight with assembly? Wow.
Okay. The thing is, the party just need people who can critique what is going wrong in Singapore. So I just want to set my record straight.
Yes.
That the reason why I go meme, okay, people remember this look left, look right thing.
Okay.
The song.
Talk to us about it.
Okay. But the first instance I got meme actually is before that.
Okay.
It's before that. So there was some informal introduction.
Yes.
So actually I saw the comments is that when I spoke, I didn't, because it's impromptu, I wasn't really expected. I was more or less expected that I'm one of the potential candidates, but I wasn't totally expected to give a self-introduction speech on the mic in front back then. So I didn't wanted to highlight all the family story, all those. This is quite cliche.
Okay.
I just wanted to use the limited airtime to focus what's wrong in Singapore and where to look for the answer, which is in our manifesto. It's very simple.
Okay.
But people will say that, oh, this person talk a few things, but he just didn't have the train of thought. So some of the things I thought is about the job insecurity among the young. Then I wanted to talk about this productivity issue, because in the parliament records, in the Hansard, we know that over the years, various MPs have raised this low production issue. So actually, the correct meme code supposed to be production, you cannot. Produce, you cannot. Reproduce, you also cannot. That was actually because yes, that was the part that they actually conveniently cut off.
Wait. Okay.
It's the produce you cannot, reproduce you also cannot.
Okay, so you're saying that the issue you were trying to raise in your first ever self-introduction,
yes,
based on parliamentary records, you said that low productivity.
There's a low productivity.
In what? I mean, in any kind of industry or just generally?
I think it's more like generally. So actually, what went wrong when I reflect, right, is that I took too much of the time talking about why we have a longer working hours. Now, the 40 to 44 work week hours.
Okay.
Now, compared to some other countries have 35. And we still complain that we have the low productivity issue. But that is actually, when I read again and reflect, is not the correct thing to highlight. Because those with shorter working hours, they may have more work-life balance. They may have a better sense of quality of life. But that doesn't mean their country is having a high productivity rate. We do not know. We don't have the data of that.
I see. So you were trying to make a point that, look, we are working so much, but our productivity is still not that high. So he says, Singapore, produce, you cannot. Reproduce, also cannot. So what are you doing? Huh? You are not working, you are not making love. What are you doing? Where are you? Are you just watching Samuel Lee videos on the internet? You are. Produce also cannot, reproduce also cannot. Doing what? Waste time. Waste time, are you? Okay. So, I didn't know this part. Sorry, but good.
That one is there, but it was not reported.
Never mind. Now we report.
I didn't put that on my TikTok as well, but so yeah.
This one you can put.
I will have to go and find out. But really, that was the code. Because it was also really direct translated from Chinese also.
What is the Chinese translation? Please tell me.
生产力你不行，生育力你也不行。
It sounds more accurate in Mandarin, bro. It means you're saying, right? You're saying that produce also cannot.
Reproduce you also cannot. Yeah, because all these kind of policy, we are actually a team as a to represent what is the scorecard. Now, what PMB have done now over the 20 years is supposed to be a scorecard, but okay, he get nearly, I think 78% of the votes. Now, so it's a good card for him.
Okay, but if someone told me that, hey, you're running your first elections, you're going to go up against former Prime Minister, Assembly, I would be like, bro, sure, you really want to send me? But it seems like for you, you were just taking it in your stride, right? It's part of the job. It's the election committee send you there. You just go out and do your best.
I think they have two eyes, I have two eyes. They have one brain, I have one brain. So it just a reflect of different people, the different experience. So what we just compete on the equal terms as much as possible. Of course, the boundary is not really in the equal terms because you last minute then know where is the boundary. How are you going to send a team of volunteers to do the house knocking, to do the house visit? Some they really now as because it's a post-GE, the reflection is they still really emphasize on that. The voters probably still emphasize on that. They do not really want people who just visit on the coffee shop or hawker center to shake hand, which is what our party mainly do. Our ground that time our party, the ground engagement is mainly focused on the coffee shop and the hawker centers.
Okay, so you're saying that one of the feedback you got post-election is that the voters actually really appreciate it when you come to their house for house visit and knock on the doors and meet them personally. Is that what you're saying? That they prefer that mode of interaction rather than just meeting in the coffee shop?
I believe this is not one of the case, but actually it's quite contradicting. Contradicting because as a food delivery myself, actually I see there's units who say that no knocking because they say no donations, no political house visit, all those kind of things. Because then there are variation of how people say that.
But you, in your opinion, if you know the boundaries earlier and you know where you're contesting, you think that as an election candidate, it would be better to go house to house as much as possible and walk the ground?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, good. Thanks for sharing that. In the end, right, the results, like you say, you were hoping, I'm sure you were hoping to get enough percentage of votes to get your election deposit back. 12.5% is the aim, right? Minimum.
Okay, the 12.5% is a rule set by the ELD or even predecessor of it. All along, even in the UK election, they have like around $500 deposit. That is in UK. And then if you don't hit the 1.8, now 12.5%. Now then your election deposit is forfeited.
That's £500 in the UK.
£500 in UK.
Here is how much you have to pay?
To somehow back to the MP allowance, and as far as this GE is concerned, is 13.5k.
Wow. So man, and you had to put that up front when you run as a candidate.
As before the nomination, the funds must be there. Because the nomination process, they stop at 12 p.m. sharp. Means everything, all these things, you will probably want to do it latest by the morning itself. Because the the deposit, actually they can do the fund transfer. Now got pay now. Now last time, yeah, you don't have pay now, you probably, I don't know, they bring one whole stack of cash or check. I think most likely check lah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now that means you can go to the nomination center of the constituency that you are running in, and that's where you put in your papers. And when you put in your papers, you have to make the deposit. Is that correct?
Actually, what happened is that once the nomination starts, that means they can start to download. There is some registration, all those kind of thing. The pre-nomination day event, some paperwork, all those kind of thing. It's possible to put the deposit first. So it's before the nomination day itself. You can do that already. But you can do it but as long as you do it when the paper is accepted by 12 p.m. So you can't just put your nomination, the deposit in 12 p.m. So you have to do it before.
I see. Okay.
Like you have ample time to do it.
And so you were anxiously waiting for the results, I'm sure, right? On the night of polling day, when the results were slowly pouring in, you were waiting to see whether you meet that criteria, right?
Okay, my one was very simple here. Okay, so in every elections, all the parties, or even the independent candidates, I think, they will definitely want people who volunteer as polling agent and counting agent. So for polling agent, they actually sit there, man the polling station, make sure the polling station is behaving as expected, no funny things. That is part of the process to view that the election is conducted in a free manner.
In a fair and just manner.
Correct. So what happened is that once the polling station, they close at 8 p.m. Okay, the box are sealed. So they are supposed to have people to go and sign on the box. Okay, and then they see them how to load up on the bus to the counting center. So as a small party, we do not really have the polling agent. We focus mostly on the counting agent side. So we monitor the votes. We actually see the votes firsthand. So once all the box come into the nomination center, the counting center. Counting center.
Okay.
Now once all the box come into the counting center, and then they open the box. So then they pour on the table. Then just stand I think 1 meter, or 1.5 meter away from the box. There's one yellow color line. So stand behind the yellow line, observe. So you more or less can see the sample votes already. Then you know that, wow, so many.
Well, so many what? As in like those who vote for you?
Those who vote for PPP, of course.
Okay, then don't you get to see your own? And because you guys got 10.2% of the votes in Ang Mo Kio, right?
Yes. So you are looking at around close to 15,000 votes.
Wow.
So
how do you feel about that number? Does it sound? It sounds pretty impressive. Like 15,000 people, that means came and they looked at your manifesto, or they watched your rallies and they followed your journey and they went, okay, I don't mind giving my vote to this person. How do you feel about that?
Okay, of course, I do feel that at least we are still being supported. We have 10% of votes. Of course, it just feel that it's just a little bit more, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 more votes probably could have kept the deposit to cement that as a serious candidate kind of minimum support.
Okay.
But we are just very close to that, and more importantly is because we have a three-corner fight. So I think there are people who are indecisive, who should they vote for, all those kind of thing.
The other contesting party was SUP, right? So how did it feel, man? Like the moment you found out, we didn't get enough votes, like what was going through your mind at the time?
Disappointed is yes lah. Regret is no. Because we actually made our point. We tried our best to make a point. Like what I mentioned, the most important thing is that a lot of people we just wanted to make sure that we don't subject ourselves. We don't subject the Singaporeans to the danger of the untested medical product. We say that they are given in the emergency use authorization. So that means there are certain things, the long-term safety data, all these was being allowed to withheld when they do a mass rollout because it was emergency. It was emergency. But it's just that it should be done on the informed consent. It should be done on when the people the medically they call it patients okay, in general, so that they know what they are going for and not because of the wrong reason because I cannot eat at hawker center, so I have to go and take the vaccine. I think that is not the right approach to do.
So your opinion was that you disagreed with that approach, and that's one of the reasons you felt like you wanted to be a part of the election process to bring some change in the future.
Correct. And although the main people who spoke about this vaccine issue, the amendment of this, the IDA, the Infectious Disease Act, when they do the amendment, if they refuse to get vaccinated, once the director of the MOH makes such an order, they can be fined or imprisonment, that kind of thing. It was already mentioned on the rally speeches. The main people are not Guming Singh and Derek. These two are the main people who talk about these specific issues. I choose not to highlight my personal anecdotes. It's because I think what I personally see is not the worst case.
Okay.
There are people who actually say that, they shortly after they get COVID vaccination, they got cancer. Aggressive cancer some more. And then you have people who say that they, just within a few weeks or a few months, they collapse and died. So there are actually people who, actually even in the newspaper article, this is not like making story out of nothing. If it's in the newspaper article, it's talk about one particular case when they try to apply the goodwill payout, the VFAP, the goodwill payout, it was rejected. They found the history is that the patient was like obese, and then there is a family history. So it's like some chronic illness on her family history, that kind of thing. The question is, why the MOH must pick on all those issues and say that, this person has a higher risk of itself. Even if you do not get vaccinated today, you may just get heart attack and collapse tomorrow. That my opinion is, when I see this kind of report, that is how I think that is how they think. That's why a lot of people who, when they try to claim the VFAP thing, they don't get it. Because very few people are actually in the tip-top health condition.
Can you specify what VFAP stands for?
There's a Vaccine Injury Financial Assistance Program.
I see. Okay, and that's the goodwill payout that you are talking about. It's a goodwill payout.
So there was one, a lot of people, they remember the 16 years old, do some weightlifting after he get the Pfizer shots, and then somehow he collapsed. And they say that they will take very long time, quite some time for him to recover. So actually, it was like a few years already, and we do not know how he has progressed, how his recovery went. But yeah, because there's no news, so we can't speculate anything.
You would like to hear an update of this report?
Yes, because a lot of people know the 16 years old. Surely, so I think it's good that we know, the public should know, because this is a public health issue. Yeah.
I can see that you feel very passionate about these issues like public health, and also, like you mentioned earlier, a little bit about job insecurity. I'm going to bring it back to some of these other issues that you've raised in your campaign season, because, like you mentioned, there were some memes that were done about you, You remember your memes you were talking about earlier, the famous, infamous look left, look right meme, right? You became a overnight sensation because of that.
Yes.
I bring this up because I think a lot of people, even if they were not fully invested in the election process, even if they were not fully aware of what was going on, when they saw you and your videos, suddenly there was a bit of interest. And suddenly people were like, actually, what's going on here? This is quite funny. And true story, my team and I were going into schools to do a news and current affairs quiz organized by the Straits Times. And the students would quote you. They're not voting. They are too young to understand. They were too young to vote. Maybe not too young to understand elections. But a lot of their interest was because of this. So how did you feel about being one of the most memed election candidates in GE 2025?
Okay, I will put it this way. Okay, if I didn't sing it this way, which people say that is a Singapore version of William Hung, that kind of stuff.
Who said this?
In the comments,
Who call you Singapore version of William Hung? Y'all you wait until he bang y'all. He bang you, then you know. Don't be naughty, Sorry, okay. So you read that in the comments.
Along the lines, so it's I wouldn't have make a name out of it. Okay. But I think I really left a legacy. So for the good or for the bad, is for history to judge.
That is very well said. It's not in your hands. It's not in your hands anymore, right?
It's not in my hands anymore.
Yeah.
The time that now is in my hands is when I read the script. Or rather, what I wanted to say, highlight the key points. And I feel whether am I more comfortable to go with this approach or not. So it's just as good as the pilots. When they already on the plane start on the runway, they must think that now the condition in the plane, is it now suitable for takeoff? So there's a term called V1, rotate.
V1 what?
These are all the aviation terms.
So you have a bit of an affinity and a very you love this aviation analogy. Okay, before you go in, can I show you what why are you laughing? You know I'm gonna show you a video.
Okay.
Okay. No, look, I think your aviation analogies are legendary. Okay? Can I show you one video?
Okay, sure.
This was Samuel Lee in one of the PPP rally speeches.
Singapore's total fertility rate has been in steady descent. From the highs of the 1960s to the lows of today, the numbers have continued to fall, just like an aircraft slowly losing altitude. At first, it wasn't alarming. But with this aircraft altitude warning chime ringing loud and clear, the trend was unmistakable. To counter this, the PAP government pulled hard on the controls, liberalizing immigration in a bold move to arrest the population freefall. It was as if the pilots yanked the yoke backwards, increasing the angle of attack dramatically, hoping for a quick lift, a sudden rise. But that's not how aerodynamics or demographic, by the way, works.
Okay, thank you. Do you remember the speech?
Yes.
You're laughing away. Why are you laughing? Tell me. Share with me. I mean, how does it feel watching it in retrospect?
Okay, I think this is the one that is significantly lasting impact.
Yes.
Now, this is really what is the team, the Ang Mo Kio team is supposed to deliver, is really to tell the Prime Minister, look, your policy, what it costs to the Singapore. So it's really like, because actually it's a very simple logic.
Yes.
When you have keep on all the liberalizing immigration, you decided to use immigration to make up of the population shortfall. Then the native population, when you the usual say is that, they come in, they compete with your jobs, the wage goes low, so people have no money to start a family, no desire, they want to keep more for themselves, for their own retirement. This is a standard cliche way. Okay. But on another angle, we also can say that since there are population coming in, the country is not going to face extinction. I mean, if you take out the so-called the local identity, you assume that they can do the naturalization, they integrate. That is assumption. Then you would think that there is nothing that makes you really want to start a family. It doesn't matter.
What about the enjoyment?
This is really subject to individuals. So mainly, unless your mindset, you have that kind of traditional family mindset, be it religion or otherwise, or maybe you just see your peers, your parents doing it. So you just follow the same way. But with nowadays, the divorce is getting more common. And then some kind of those, how do you call it? The alternative, non-traditional kind of family unit structures are coming up.
Okay.
The emerging trends.
Okay.
So it's just like when you are in the school. Last time you must go for the streaming. You must go for the JC and then go to university to succeed. But nowadays, you got other options to succeed. So these are the things we can apply it. We can apply it. We can see the trend. So like people won't feel the urgency or need to have a baby as a lifestyle choice of the past.
What if you just love babies? Like you want to squeeze their cheek. Hello, baby. No?
Okay. For, like I say, it's a personal choice. So what happens is that for those who want, what can the government do is to really reduce the cost of living. You shouldn't be like raise the GST at when the inflation was quite high.
Okay.
Even though they say that they have gone down a bit all these things, but the thing is that the pinch is still there.
These are one of the things that you use, and before I showed you this video, you were already giving me another aircraft analogy. What is your obsession with aviation, actually? You want to fly a plane? Is that something that you feel like you wanted to do? Or you're just interested in aviation generally?
Okay. One thing I just wanted to take note, to highlight is that why I use this is because I see the parallel, the similarities on how you manage a country and how a pilot manage their aircraft.
Wow.
That is how I see the similarities, and we can draw that in comparison. Okay? So it's like for the pilots when they operate their aircraft, they know that there is something called the coffin corner. So it's like this is something to do with the basic the physics behind it. So it's like once the planes goes too high, there is the absolute ceiling, the service, how high the plane can fly, all those kind of things. You met with the conflicting interests that you just cannot maintain it stable. That is the idea.
So if the plane has reached a certain altitude,
yes,
it cannot maintain stability.
Yes, it cannot because some of you have the weather factors, you have the wind, all those kind of things. So I see the analogy in here is that when you govern a country, you may face like the risk, the geopolitics, all those kind of things, those things that you cannot control. Like you cannot control the weather. In a country as a prime minister, you cannot control what other countries want to do. All those kind of competing interests.
Yeah.
So you need to balance there. So why I choose this particular topic as my main rally speech is that the government, they try to increase the GDP. We want economy to progress.
Sure.
But they use a lot of things is they import all the labors in. They import all the labors in. That's why you got all the immigrants here. Then, of course, when they come here to work, they produce, contribute to the economy, and they spend because they have their necessities here. So they contribute to the GDP. But that is not really the growth that actually the locals actually enjoy.
Okay, so that's one of the points that you were trying to make in your rally speeches and during your campaign.
I do not want to make it everything so obvious. Because those obvious things people would have already said. My style is tend to like to do it in a way that is inference from a logic there. What I'm trying to say is that you cannot use the same model for the past 20 years what work and expect it to work in the next 50 years again.
I see.
Because it just doesn't, you just cannot increase it this way. It's unsustainable.
And you tried to use, and your approach of explaining this point was to use the
aircraft
analogy.
Analogy, yes. Because at the end of the day, if we look at the number of the population in Singapore, okay, like I say, a plane there is a absolute ceiling, the top there. And then you have the the operating ceiling, the service ceiling, they call it service ceiling. So it's like, we want to know what is the parameter. Only the government, they have all the team of civil servants, the URA, all these MMD people. They will know that actually in Singapore, they can actually afford to have how many people inside the Singapore. Like, because you have to cater green spaces. You cannot be, you need to have green spaces. You cannot expect to develop MacRitchie area, that kind of thing. And then you need to reserve place for military, the industrial. Yeah. So they know how many people we can, we cannot exceed, we can never exceed that. But what is the optimal number so that we have a balance? Now, we want to have green spaces, we want to have sufficient schools and hospitals. Now, they will know, but they do not tell us how much they want to, how much they want to increase. Because I think there was some figures thrown out. It says 10 million at some point in time.
Oh, who said that? Not the government. The government said this.
No. It was a former architect. There was one, the Liu Kai. He mentioned that Singapore can sustain a 10 million population. But that doesn't mean government wants a 10 million population. Now, so I think, if I'm not wrong, hopefully I was not wrong, is that the 10 million is really a so-called absolute ceiling. And what is the service ceiling? What is the optimal number? Even if like by 2065, we are talking about my retirement age. When I turn 60 or 70 years old, that number should be somewhat lower. But the issue here is that when I was born, I think around 1991, that kind of time, there was an advert, a milk advert. That compares the Singapore population is about the same as the New Zealand counts population.
In 1991.
I think in my childhood time, there was one particular advertisement like that. So we know that around that period when I was young, is around 3 million plus population there.
They were saying there was an advertisement in the 90s in Singapore comparing the Singapore's population back then to the population of the number of cows in New Zealand
back then.
We gotta find this ad, man. I want to see this now. Man, that's wild. Okay, great. Wow. Okay. At some point, you made a public announcement to resign from the PPP.
Yes.
Talk to us about that. What led to that decision?
I think it's the best interest for me to make this move. Partially it's because I got a few, not say all. I got some the endorsement. We still talks in progress. Even in my TikTok, there's one used car dealer.
Endorsement is in like influencer jobs or like collaboration?
It's more like collaboration. But actually, I don't really understand the norms between the two. So this is a new thing that I am venturing to. It's there. It's in my TikTok. So, but I still wanted to have a baseline. Now, what can be done? Can be done. What cannot be done? This is never to be done. So, like the use of
means what? Sorry, what can be done, but cannot be. What are you referring to? Your political career or your career is in show business?
Show business.
Show business. Okay,
because some of them, they wanted me to actually sing that song again. Those kind of thing is a clear no.
Okay.
I repeat a few times already. It's a clear no. Because I think eventually I also realize that if I use it again, what happens is that one, you are like milking out the serious political campaign point for profit. It's not nice. Second, the reason why I get meme is because I'm original. Now you have 10 templates of the whole same thing. You think the audience will fatigue? So please, I don't think I'm sitting in a pot of gold just because I sing a song.
Okay, that's fair. I think if you're going to move out of the space of being a political candidate and you're going to move into the space of effectively being an artist, then as the artist, it is your choice as to what work you do and what roles you take on or what collaborations you take on. So full respect to that. If you don't want to, do the same joke over and over again, or you don't want to do the same character over and over again, you shouldn't be doing it. But can you sing it one last time for the Rishi Report audience?
Sorry, no.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Hey, no. I'm not going to make you do that. So you're saying that one of the reasons you have moved forward is that you're moving into a different industry, a different world. What happens next though? Because you also said that you want to continue your work in activism. You want to continue advocating for change for Singapore. How do you plan to do that now?
Okay, right now I think the root of the issues, right, is that those marginalized voice typically are not heard because they don't feature in the mainstream media. So I actually find that that's the reason why I actually attended the People's Labour Day rally in the Hong Lim Park a few days ago. It's 25th of May. So the thing is that we have I've seen all the few NGOs. They say that there is the exploitation of F&B labours. F&B also one pain point. Okay, on one hand, the margin, it appears like why the food so expensive. They say that they don't earn a lot. You have seen a record high number of F&Bs they close down because they can't sustain. On one hand, you have what I've learned from the NGO there who actually say that for those foreign workers, because things like steward you stand long hours in an enclosed environment, and the machine, because all the water vapor is very hot and stuffy.
It's not an easy job.
Not an easy job.
Yeah.
So, and they typically violates the MOM, the law there. Like they don't have enough break, that kind of thing.
Oh, is it?
That is what I heard from them.
Okay.
So to me, it's because I didn't see it firsthand. So just assume it's a hearsay.
Okay.
But there are NGOs who actually does receive this kind of reports. So these are the marginalized voice. And then there is also another issue is that we do not have a honest debate whether carbon tax is it necessary for Singapore. One of the booths in that particular event in Hong Lim Park, right, is from the SG Climate Rally. And they say that in the brochure, they say that in 2021, they actually try to fight against the petrol tax increase. Why? Because it hurts the gig worker, the Grab drivers, taxi drivers disproportionately. When they say that they give the climate vouchers, it encourage people to change. Some of them maybe is prematurely they change because the item, maybe they say the refrigerator is not really due for replacement, but you must use it by certain time
so
or
you get an eco-friendly one earlier.
Correct. And is that really eco-friendly? By disposing a perfectly working condition just because I want to use the voucher to save $300. This is the obvious one. Singapore needs independent media to highlight all these things so that the people won't be shortchanged, so that the people will be more informed on what's going on in Singapore.
Okay.
So that is my next move.
Okay. That means you are going to get more involved in spreading the voices of the marginalized communities and hopefully bring about change. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, I also would like to ask everyone to really think about this question.
Okay, go
Why
for it, man.
would people in my position, for what I have experienced, including the report about how I was a ex-convict, all those things, shortly just to jump back into the election as subject to the same media scrutiny again?
Why would you do it?
This is like I say, an independent media is very important. So this is a take-home question for everyone to consider. Let me be clear. When I decided to stand in the election, it's not for my own personal agenda. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that the Yellow Ribbon Project, right, is about helping the ex-convict to rebuild their life after they serve their dues. Okay? Now we have this thing called the Workplace Fairness Act, the new thing. Okay, there are some protected characteristics like race, religion, the marital status. So quite a list of them. But here's the question. Here's the question: is that they are actually, it's quite commonplace. Quite common in the workforce right now. They ask for your conviction status. So they are asking questions like, have you ever been convicted in the court of law? So they don't ask you, do you have criminal record? It's two different questions. Actually, they mean two different things. This is because as a first-time offender of a single charge, okay, if the sentence is relatively light, So I think it's like the imprisonment is within 3 months. The fine is less than $2,000. Actually, what happens is that if they go offense free for the next 5 years, okay, the criminal record can be considered spent. So it's like when they ask, those background search, background check, when they ask you, oh, do you have a criminal record? You can say no. But have you ever been convicted in the court of law? It's still a yes. So that's how people get disadvantage for when people consider those irrelevant status in the dated past. And of course, those very serious crimes, like robbery, molest, all those things, you don't expect them to be just spent. The offense you are seeing, like those are really like more than a few months one. So actually, I don't think that the conviction status is so more important. It's the criminal record. It's there to protect the vulnerable groups. That is what I agree and understand.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, man, Samuel. That was a very insightful conversation. I wanted all of our guests to get to know the man behind the memes. It's not just about the memes, which he's retiring. You're retiring those memes. Anybody asks you to do, you're not going to do. But he's moving into a different phase of his life right now after having run through one election campaign. One final question before we wrap things up. Do you foresee yourself running as a candidate in any of the future elections in Singapore? Or are you done?
Okay, this is a premature question to ask. I do not have an answer right now.
Okay, no problem. If we see you back, don't be surprised. Yeah, I wish you a positive next phase of your journey. Thank you very much for being on the Rishi Report, Samuel.
Thank you.
Folks, that was Samuel Lee, like I said, the man behind the memes. You've heard his various renditions of Looking Left and Looking Right. You have heard him talk about his aircraft analogies. And today, on the Rishi Report, you heard a different dimension of this man. Hope you enjoyed that. Spread the word, and we'll see you on our next episode of the Rishi Report. Thank you for watching.